geographically, just especially with the situation that's going on right now in Ukraine, it's really interesting to see the more east you go in the country, the more Russian you hear, the Russian language you hear, and more pro-Russian views, whereas the more west you go, the more Ukrainian you hear and the more pro-European ties. So it was really interesting while I was there. None of that was going on, but you could feel that there was some tension between the Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine, how they had it felt like they had two different views of, how a country should be run and who should their country associate with. Last summer, I was an intern at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv while this whole thing was going on, and so before I went, you'd hear it's not exactly what you see on the news. Yes, there is tensions, but it's really an interesting topic, because you have people that before the collapse of the Soviet Union, they were considered Russian. They would move over to Ukraine, and then the collapse of the Soviet Union, the borders are formed, and you have a Russian living in Ukraine, and then this person fairly feels like, I want to be part of Russia, but I want to live here. I've lived here my whole life, and so it's really not easy to describe in a few sentences. It's very difficult to explain, but it's very sensitive to a lot of people. A lot of people I've tried to have conversations with, they get very emotional about this, and it's true. Like it'd be like us within Canada. There's a lot of, we're right next door to one another, and some Ukrainians feel like Russia's being a big bully about this, but it's really hard to describe, and it's just interesting too to see how some members of the church are on each side of this situation, and how I try not to get involved in it too much, just because I don't think there is a clear-cut answer, because there's so many variables going on, and it's sad to see the state it is in right now, and hopefully that there is a solution on the horizon. But it's definitely taken a toll, at least on the church, because there's been a group that has taken over one of the church buildings in Donetsk, and now it's been completely destroyed from gunfire and just from the war. And it's just really sad to see how, this country has been demolished over political leaders and their views.